Hi everyone and welcome back to Woman2Woman. It's just great to be back with you again. We've had another great week in church around God's Word, and I just want to bring a short reflection today of where we are so far in our series. Well, last week we looked at those awful feelings that we go through when we've been left out, when we've been cast aside, when we haven't been selected or chosen, and it leaves us feeling unwanted, undesired, unloved, embarrassed. Maybe it's not a nice feeling. Last week we looked at the fact that God has seen us. He has seen us and He has chosen us. So we've turned it around this week and we've looked at what it means to be chosen, to be selected, to be told that you're the one that I want. You're the one that I desire. And God is saying that today. You're the one that I have chosen. Just like He did with young Mary. A very well-known story we looked at this week. Very well-known story that we normally hear at Christmas time, when the angel comes to Mary and he tells her that she's going to give birth to a son, even though a virgin. Wow, what a task that was. And he says to Mary, "Greetings, you who is highly favoured. The Lord is with you." Imagine an angel standing in front of you telling you that you are highly favoured. What was he saying? You are precious to God. You are special to God, that He has chosen you. And God is saying the same to you today. I have chosen you. You are highly favoured. To live with favour means that we live with purpose. God's purpose for our lives. God's got a plan for your life, just as He did for Mary. Now, Mary wasn't like, okay, no bother, that's absolutely fine. She didn't ask very many questions, but I think young Mary must have been terrified. For a start, there's an angel standing in front of you. In fact, the angel comforts her and says, "Do not be afraid." You see, God's not looking for people who are fearless. He's looking for people who are faithful. And Mary was faithful. She said, "May it be, Lord, according to your will." She was basically saying, whatever you want, God, I will do it. I'm afraid, but I will do it anyway. Sometimes we need to do it afraid. We need to respond to God, and yet our wee lip might quiver at the same time. But we trust the one who is calling us. So are you prepared to allow God to interrupt your life? You see, God interrupted Mary's life. She had plans already. She was going to marry Joseph and the engagement was already underway. She had things that she was going to do. And then all of a sudden her life was turned upside down. Like many, many others in the Bible. I wonder, are you prepared to allow God to interrupt your life and do whatever He wants to do in and through your life? Even if you feel afraid, even if it sounds crazy, even if you look foolish. I mean, Mary sounded crazy. I am expecting a child and I'm a virgin. Can you imagine how that went down in the village? But it wasn't just Mary. Think about it. When Noah was building an ark, and everyone was like, "What you doing, Noah?" And he's like, "I'm building an ark." And they're like, "What's an ark?" And he's like, "I don't really know." And he said, "I'm building it because the rain's coming." And they're like, "Rain? It hasn't rained. What is rain?" You know, he must have looked foolish. Moses, as he stood at the side of the Red Sea with nothing but a stick, and he's like, "We're going to cross that sea," and they're looking at him going, "But this isn't full flow. How are we going to cross this sea?" Joshua and his men, as they just marched around Jericho, the walls of Jericho, not attacking, just marching in silence. They must have looked foolish. Mary, I'm expecting a baby, even though I'm a virgin. They must have thought she had lost her mind or she was telling lies, one of the two. Sometimes we are asked or called by God to do things that other people just don't understand. And you maybe don't understand it yourself, like Mary. But are you prepared to allow God to interrupt your life? Are you prepared to allow God to select you for that purpose and say yes to God? You know, the men and women of the Bible that said yes to God, they moved forward and they saw the greater things. Moses, He watched as the seas parted. Noah built the ark and he sailed on the seas when the rain and the flood came, and him and his family were safe. The walls of Jericho came tumbling down, and Joshua and his men, well, they didn't need to do anything. And well, Mary, she gave birth, didn't she, to Jesus, the Son of God, the Messiah, who came to seek and to save the lost. So today God is reminding us that he's chosen us, that you are highly favoured. You have been chosen for a purpose and a plan. Are you prepared to allow God to interrupt your life today, interrupt your life in this season, and do only what he can do? Are you prepared to say yes to God and see the greater things? Until next time, God bless.